behalf, Your Honor, the funeral was not a time for me to come and say I'm a part. I'm not messy. I'm not guilty. I'm gonna let you guys have
you desperate now.
He was not in my life.
Your Honor, it was a woman pregnant before my father got killed. Do you know she was there?
She could not afford it. 3 children by herself. You didn't help.
Why should I help when I wasn't the father? I mean,
how did you know that you weren't the father? Why not get a DNA test? Why not do it then if you had help? How old was I? I'm the child.
Mr. Milford never provided anything. He didn't come see my son. I have 2 sons by Mr. Milford.
Your Honor, she never told me she was pregnant.
I did.
She always told me she had a tumor.
I'm sleeping with you. How would you think it's a tumor?
She told me she had a tumor.
How would you think it's a tumor if I'm sleeping the whole time?
Buckle up, folks. This is where the circus begins. Judge Lake rolls out the red carpet for the drama fest known as Lima versus Scott and Anderson. Ms. Lima throws down the gauntlet, accusing Mr. Anderson of being the baby daddy of little Christina during their secret escapades. The stage is set for an epic showdown, and oh boy, you won't want to miss what's coming up.
This is a case of Lima versus Scott and Anderson.
Ms. Lima, you admit to making a huge mistake and hope doesn't affect your baby Christina. You had an affair with Mr. Anderson, who is married, and believe he's your daughter's father. Mr. Anderson, you say your whole life is on the line and your marriage, and you're hoping you're not father today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn because this gets good. Ms. Lima drops a bombshell about how a harmless Facebook poke spiraled into a full-blown hotel affair. This confession unpacks the messy beginning of their entanglement. Fasten your seatbelts because the turbulence is just picking up.
Yes, Your Honor. It all started from a Facebook message when Mr. Anderson was messaging me on Facebook, started being friends online for about 1.5 years. Then out of the blue one day, he called me and said, let's go out for dinner. So I was like, I'm not doing anything, so why not? We went out to dinner, got a hotel room that night. We had sex. We planning a trip to go on a trip.
Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, the tension cranks up a notch as Ms. Lima recalls the jaw-dropping moment Mrs. Anderson stumbles upon the affair via Facebook. The chat explodes into a marital meltdown, shedding light on the emotional wreckage. Stick around, the next part is a doozy.
A few minutes later, Miss Anderson, she inboxed me and said, who are you? Said, I'm his girlfriend of 1 year, so who are you? She's like, well, I'm his wife of 10 years.
Really?
Yes.
Before this, did you know he was married?
No, I did not know he married. He did not signs of marriage or anything.
Was this true?
I'm just sorry, Your Honor.
Grab your face palms. Mr. Anderson tries to play it cool, admitting the affair was a knee-jerk reaction to a marital spat. His attempt to minimize the mess as a one-night whoopsie gets major side-eye from everyone.
Me and my wife, we had a bad argument. I decided to go out, take Miss Lima out one night, and me and her went out to, the hotel. I brought her roses, and, we had sex that night.
So just this night, or is Miss Lima's assertion that she told your wife she was your girlfriend for 1 year?
Well,
that's not one night.
You'll need extra snacks for this twist. Ms. Lima isn't having any of Mr. Anderson's one-night stand story and reveals their secret weekend rendezvous lasted 2 whole years. The crowd goes wild and the plot thickens.
How often would you see Mr. Anderson?
We've seen each other 2 years, every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays.
Was it strange to you that you only saw him Sundays, or you thought he was working during?
Because I went to his house numerous of times, but
you went to his house numerous times.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson, where was your family when you was woman to your home?
Gasp. Under Judge Lake's stern gaze, Mr. Anderson finally admits their fling wasn't just a one-hit wonder. This confession turns the heat up in the courtroom as the truth starts spilling. The revelations are rolling, and up next, it's explosive.
Past just one night, that's a yes.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Anderson, I'm gonna remind you, you are in court. You need to tell the truth. It's time for you to lay it on the line. If you really love your wife the way you say you do and your family, because you got this young woman over here describing your furniture, and that's a problem to any woman for her.
Just when you think you've seen it all. Enter stage left, Mr. Scott, another contender for the title of daddy. His sudden entry adds a new layer of chaos to the paternity mystery, complicating everything. The drama dial is turned up to 11, so don't go anywhere.
Miss Anderson, you are Mr. Anderson's wife. Has the testimony you heard today been different from the understanding you've had?
Yes, Your Honor. Once we messaged each other, I asked her for her phone number because I want to talk on the things that she was telling me. My whole world just caved in, like, serious. This
because
my husband.
You all have built a lot together.
Things get spicy here. Mr. Scott steps admitting he too was mixing it up with Ms. Lima during the baby-making period. He thought he might be the father until the plot twisted with mentions of Mr. Anderson. Fasten your seatbelt. The DNA reveal is next, and it's a wild ride.
Ms. Lima has told us she was also in a sexual relationship with you during the time she was in a sexual relationship with Mr. Anderson. Could possibly be this child's father. Are you clear on that?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, the situation was when I first met Mrs. Lima, we met at a gas station. Come February, took her flowers to a job site, tried to eat on Valentine's Day, and then in March we had a sexual intercourse.
Brace yourself for this bombshell.
Is the father of 1-year-old Christina. Mr. Scott, you are not her father.
You just stay right here.
Hang on to your popcorn, folks. Mr. Harrison kicks off the courtroom drama by accusing Ms. Grant of tricking him into signing a paternity acknowledgement for their 4-year-old daughter, Aaliyah. He's convinced he got bamboozled into believing he was the bio dad when he wasn't so sure anymore. Just when you think it's all serious, wait till you hear the cheeky comeback from Ms. Grant.
Mr. Harrison, you are suing the defendant, Ms. Grant, paternity fraud. You've also petitioned the court to remove your name from the acknowledgement of paternity document for 4-year-old Aaliyah Harrison because you claim you signed it under false pretense.
Yes, Your Honor. Buckle up, it's about to get wild. Ms. Grant fires back, admitting she kept a side guy a secret, but insists Mr. Harrison really is the daddy. She's sticking to her guns, but there's a whole lot of side-eye going on. The plot thickens, and you won't believe what's coming up next.
Ms. Grant, you claim you may have lied about your ongoing affair, but you did not lie about Mr. Harrison being your daughter's biological father.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Oh boy, here it goes. Mr. Harrison spills the tea about all the gossip flying in through his DMs, claiming little Aaliyah might not be his. Facebook prophets and text messengers stirring the pot big time. Watch out for what's brewing, because this courtroom is about to turn into a soap opera.
I've had several come to me through Facebook, text messaging on my phone, saying that Aaliyah is not your daughter. I don't care what, Miss Grant is saying, she is not your... Apparently, it's through several friends, that
they're
maybe
not
she...
in mine, Your Honor, if they're going around talking behind my back.
I have to say that person that gave me these accusations had no reason other than the...
You thought daytime TV was dramatic? Check this out. Ms. Grant drops a bombshell about her decade-long affair that's been overlapping her time with Mr. Harrison. She details this saga with the flair of a telenovela star, leaving everyone gasping. Fasten your seatbelts, there's more drama ahead.
You do admit you cheated.
Yes, I had a relationship, a man that I had met when I was very young. I met him when I was 18 years old. He was a good friend to me.
Mr. Harrison, when did you find out about...
I have to say, she had this affair with this person for 15 years. I've only been with her for 8. So this goes way before we were even together in the first place.
Ready for a twist? Mr. Harrison dives into why he's doubting everything Ms. Grant says now, especially about who's the daddy. He's been fed a buffet of lies, and his trust is as thin as cheap toilet paper.
Non-stop, the entire time. Because I've asked her several times throughout our 8-year relationship if she's ever cheated. Absolutely not. I would never cheat on you.
Mr. Harrison suing you.
Yes, ma'am.
Paternity fraud. Because he says he signed the acknowledgement of paternity under false pretenses.
Grab your tissues, or maybe your laughing gas. Ms. Grant admits she's been a fibbing aficionado about her loyalty, but claims she's kept it 100% real about paternity. The trust is shattered, the tea is spilled, and everyone's on the edge of their seats. What comes next? Only the DNA results will tell.
I'm to the point where we laid everything out on the table.
But you feel like it was all false pretenses, that she lied the entire time and set you up for this. That's what paternity fraud is.
Yeah, I did lie. I admit to lying about being...
So this is your child? When you knew for certain that it was not his child? Did you do that?
I knew 100% that she was his child because she was conceived.
Get ready for the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Harrison, you are her father.
I told you.
You gotta see this to believe it. The plaintiffs, Ms. Love and Ms. Willis, are super ticked off at Ms. Karen Williams. They're accusing her of dragging their family name through the mud because she's been going around town saying their dad is her baby daddy. They want $5,000 for all this drama.
Ms. Love and Ms. Willis, you're suing the defendant Karen Williams $5,000 for defamation of character. You say she's destroyed your family name by claiming father cheated on your mother with, and this affair produced her daughter Stephanie, who you say is not your father's daughter.
Yeah, sure. No.
No way, it's getting real now. The judge has gone all out and ordered a DNA test to sort out this paternity mess. Everyone's on edge waiting for the results, and both sides swear they're spilling nothing but the truth.
Now, the court has ordered a DNA test. The results will be revealed. Ms. Karen Williams, you say you haven't defended anyone's character because you've told the truth about the affair, and the results of today's paternity test will clear your name and identify your daughter's father.
This part is wild. Ms. Love is finally dragging everyone to court after putting up with Ms. Williams' gossip for like forever. She's fed up with hearing that her dad supposedly has another daughter.
Karen Williams going around town telling people that father her child.
So how long has this been going on?
I'm 35, so about 30 years.
And you're just coming to court today. So take me back. This is a claim for defamation of character. How do you believe she's defamed your character?
From the time I was about 6 years old, this has been going on with Miss Karen.
Can you imagine? For years, Ms. Williams has been popping everywhere, telling anyone who'd listen that she and the plaintiffs are practically sisters. Talk about awkward and trust me, it's about to get even more cringe.
What does she say when she follows you?
This is your sister. Say hi to your big sister. We ain't her sister.
We not related to her. She don't even look like us. And I got proof she not.
So you say 30 years people been following you?
That she is my father's daughter, and she's not.
Have you been following them around, say?
No, Your Honor, I do not know them in 94.
Check this out. Ms. Williams is sticking to her guns, saying she hasn't messed up anyone's reputation because she's only been telling the truth. She's convinced that today's paternity test will prove she's right.
What I've told is true. This is his daughter.
So you saying in 1994, so when you were involved with their father, did you know he was involved with their mother?
No.
Yeah,
so,
she lying.
No, I didn't even know he was married time I was involved with him.
So Ms. Williams, this is your daughter.
Yeah.
Ms. Williams, how old are you?
I'm 34.
Ms. Love, how old are you?
35.
Oh, snap. They just brought out what's supposed to be a love note from the plaintiff's dad to Ms. Williams. The plaintiffs are calling BS, saying it looks nothing like their dad's handwriting. You gotta see their faces. It's about to get even juicier.
And I also have, Your Honor, evidence that he wrote in my yearbook we was together.
You do?
3 days before his birthday.
Is what, Ms. Williams, your...
Mr. Willis wrote to me.
Just making sure we're gonna be together forever because I'll always love you for you. Plaintiffs and see if this looks like their father's handwriting.
Where?
That whole page.
His name is at the top, Your Honor, under the sticky note.
My daddy don't write like this.
This bit's intense. Stephanie Williams, the supposed daughter, talks about how her dad, or not, once came by to tell her he was her real dad. Then, a nasty phone call made things super awkward.
I was told by my father who my father was. I was about 7 or 8, and he explained to me who he was. I mean, reluctantly, my mother didn't want me to call because when I did call, I was cursed out. I don't know it was their mother. Don't call here anymore. He's not your father. I was 7 to 8 years old. I mean,
Wait a
I
minute.
was hurt by
So
that.
you called the phone number your father, which
gave me.
Here's where it gets complicated. Turns out there was already a DNA test because of child support issues, which the plaintiffs insist proved Mr. Willis wasn't the dad. Miss Williams begs to differ.
I do not know anything of child support.
You never received the assistance from the state and you never received the child support?
No. The paternity test was taken. When I went there, they couldn't verify that he had been there. They told me to just do what I need to do. My daughter got scared. She threw up on me when they took the blood, so we had to catch the bus back home.
Your concern is because you went to the facility, the test facility.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about bad timing. The man at the center of all this drama kicked the bucket recently. And guess who wasn't at the funeral? Ms. Williams. The plaintiffs think that's mighty suspicious.
I'm here to find out. That's why it's so important.
But you wasn't at his funeral. You wasn't there when he got killed.
Behalf, Your Honor, the funeral was not a time for me to come and say I'm a part. I'm not messy. I'm not guilty. I'm gonna let you guys have
you desperate now.
their life. He was not in my life.
Your Honor, it was a woman pregnant before my father got killed. Do you know she was there?
Moment of truth time. The judge drops the bombshell.
It has been determined by this court. Ms. Stephanie Williams, Mr. Andre Willis was not your father.
Told you. I'm lying to you for 34 years.
The courtroom's buzzing like a beehive. Ms. Boyer and Ms. Fields drag Mr. Sandifer to court to nail down if he's their biological dad, each sure they're the only true daughter. The tension ramps up as both women make their case, turning the courtroom into a drama hotspot. Just wait till you see the curveball that's coming up.
Ms. Boyer and Ms. Fields, you've both brought the defendant, Mr. Sandifer, to court today to prove that he is your biological father, but you each believe you are his only daughter and the other is not.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn. It's getting spicy. Mr. Sandifer throws in a twist by doubting he's the dad to either, but crosses his fingers that one might actually be his. This little confession spices up the emotional stew brewing in the courtroom. What's next? Oh, it's good. Don't miss it.
Mr. Sandifer, you state you do not believe either is your daughter, but actually hope that one is and one is not.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait, did she just say that? Ms. Fields drops a bomb about her first chat with Mr. Sandifer on Facebook that went totally south, leading to a showdown about money and daddy issues. This reveal shows just how tangled their past is. And guess what? It only gets juicier from here.
About 2 years ago, I sent him a message on Facebook asking him if I could borrow some money. He responded with, maybe I need to find my real dad. He wasn't even my father.
I was upset, Your Honor, at that point in time because she just kept on aggravating me about money. That's the only time I've ever heard from her is when it was money.
You've never done anything for me.
What do you mean I had never done it? You to the park, I carried you to fairs. You was such a small child, you don't remember a lot of.
Grab your tissues. It's story time. Ms. Fields opens up about her tough childhood, having been adopted by her grandparents because her mom was strapped for cash. Her story pulls at the heartstrings and lays bare the deep roots of their family saga.
I was adopted to my grandparents because my mother couldn't afford to take care of 3 children by herself. My grandparents stepped in to help me.
Right.
She was working at a bar in a burger. She could not afford it. 3 children by herself. You didn't help.
Why should I help when I wasn't the father? I mean,
how did you know that you weren't the father? Why not get a DNA test? Why not do it then if you had to help? How old was I? I'm
I'm the child.
Things are heating up. The argument gets fiery as Ms. Fields accuses Mr. Sandifer of being a no-show dad, despite his claims of fatherly efforts. The back and forth is like a tennis match of emotions and accusations. Stay tuned, because the emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
When I was 13 years old, January, my grandmother passed away. On my grandfather's deathbed, he specifically asked my dad if he would take care of hating me and my mom. He said yes. If he wasn't my father, why
Your
would he?
mother found another man in her life. Why
And
did
he
I
took
need to be
care of
in
me.
So, Mr. Sandifer, did you date her mother? Did you have intimate relationship with her mother?
Yes, Your Honor. Then she come up pregnant.
Here comes Ms. Boyer with her side of the story. She steps up to bat, trying to prove that Mr. Sandifer is indeed her pop. This part adds a whole new layer of family drama and legal twists. And just when you think you've seen it all, there's more drama ahead that'll knock your socks off.
I'm here today to prove that Mr. Sandifer is my father.
I have proof otherwise, Your Honor.
You have proof that she is not your daughter.
My name's not on the birth.
Your Honor, he was in a relationship with my mother when I was born, and he lived with us till I was 5 years old.
This is a copy of Miss Boyer's birth certificate.
Everyone's on the edge of their seat now.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Sandifer, you are not her father.
Oh, wow.
Buckle up, folks, the drama is just starting. The court session kicks off with Mrs. Kyler bringing a case against Mills, Gonzalez, and Tirado to finally figure out who her real dad is. Mrs. Kyler has been scratching her head over her dad's identity since she was a kiddo and is really hoping today's the day she gets some answers. The courtroom's buzzing, and we're all set for some serious family tea to spill. Get ready, because this is just the appetizer.
This is a case of Kyler versus Mills, Gonzalez, and Tirado.
Miss Kyler, you've brought your mother forward in hopes of finally finding which of the two men in the photographs is your biological father. You claim it's been a lifelong mystery, and you hope it will end today.
Yes, Your
And Ms. Mills, you argue that you're certain you know of these two cousins is your daughter's father.
You won't believe this. Mrs. Kyler starts spilling the beans about how she's been side-eyeing her family tree since she could climb it. She dishes out how Mr. Barrows, supposedly upstairs dad, never threw a glance her way. Growing up with whispers from relatives didn't help either, turning her childhood into a detective show.
My doubts began as a child, around 5 years old. My mother telling me that Mr. Barrows was my father. He lived right upstairs from us. He had another family. He would not acknowledge me. I did grow up with a stepfather up until age 10. I just knew that the man upstairs, my mother told me, Mr. Barrows was my father.
Hold on to your popcorn. Here comes Ms. Mills with her version. She's dead sure about who her daughter's daddy is, blaming the whole drama on Mr. Barrows for playing the ghost dad. She recounts a soap opera-worthy tale of love, betrayal, and a paternity test showdown in court. If your jaw hasn't dropped yet, keep watching, because the plot thickens and the next bit is a doozy.
Yeah, I told her because we moved into an area where her dad's family was living at. So I knew when we were down there around her grandmother, her aunts and them, that she was going to run into her dad, because I was always accepted by his mother and his siblings.
So when you say her dad, you mean Mr. Barrows?
Yeah.
You were accepted by his family, but he never acknowledged her.
I was accepted by his family as well, but just not him.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Miss Gonzalez steps up and throws another curveball. She acknowledges Mrs. Kyler as her sister, because dad was writing checks, but insists he denied being the father every single time. This bombshell adds a whole new layer of mess to the mix, showing just how complicated family dinners must be at their place.
Miss Gonzalez, you are Mr. Barrows' biological daughter.
Yes.
When you see this young woman, do you regard her as your sister or an acquaintance?
She's my sister. My father paid child support 19 years. She's my sister.
And you remember her and growing up.
I started hearing rumors when I was about 6. I had a potential sister. We lived in the same complex. You know, I was kind of jealous in the beginning because I was his only daughter.
Grab your tissues. Things are getting teary. Miss Tirado waltzes into the courtroom, shedding light on even more family secrets. Accusations are flying faster than at a dodgeball match, with Ms. Mills's past escapades under the microscope. This part of the saga dives deep into the emotional chaos that's been brewing for years. Don't go anywhere, because what comes next is guaranteed to blow your mind.
You grew up knowing Mills?
Mills as my aunt.
She was your aunt?
Her and my aunt was best of friends. My mom, everybody all grew up as brother and sister. I can't, because if I was in her position, I would want to know who my dad is too. But I am so upset that Mrs. Mills, my mom, my aunt, everyone grew up as sisters. We're all in our 30s. It should have not taken to this point.
Are you ready for this?
Your 29-year wait is over. The deceased, Mr. Barrow, was not your biological father.
You gotta hear this one. Mr. Milford spills the beans about his days in the military, getting zapped by radiation, which he reckons made him unable to have more kids. The judge nods along, getting the gravity of his no baby situation. Strap in, because things are about to get even wilder.
Mr. Milford, you don't believe Mr. Johnson is your son. Your claim is that you performed police actions, air defense artillery while Army, which exposed you to radiation, make it impossible for you to have more children.
Get this, Ms. Johnson is seriously fed up. She vents about how Mr. Milford was MIA during her pregnancy and didn't even pop by the hospital. She lays out how he didn't lift a finger to help with their son, emphasizing his ghosting skills. Buckle up, the roller coaster is just taking off.
He never came to the hospital when my son was born. Anything I needed for my son, Mr. Milford never provided anything. He didn't come see my son. I have 2 sons by Mr. Milford.
Your Honor, she never told me she was pregnant.
I did.
She always told me she had a tumor.
I'm sleeping with you. How would you think it's a tumor?
She told me she had a tumor.
How would you think it's a tumor if I'm sleeping the whole time?
That he had a child with your cousin as well?
Yes, I did.
Now, listen to Kyrie's side of the soap opera. Amidst some fiery back and forth, he dives into the messy saga of his life, chatting about the whirlwind of not knowing who his dad is. He shares the ups and mostly downs of growing up without a dad in the picture. Hold on, the next part is a doozy.
Were you told that this man was your father?
At one point I was, but then I was told he wasn't.
You were?
Yes. I just don't feel I should be going through this because I didn't ask to be here. I don't know. I'm real hurt right now because I wish I did have a daddy because I probably wouldn't have been in much trouble as I was. Homeless at times, getting taken away, being in group homes.
Oh boy, here comes a plot twist. Mr. Milford is adamant about shooting blanks since '86 and insists he couldn't have fathered more kiddos post-military. He's all about his sterile years, challenging anyone to prove him wrong. The saga thickens, and you won't believe what's next.
I worked in air defense artillery in the military. Underneath radar, I got out 84. And I think I was sterile till at least about 89. I was knocking about nothing coming back. Nobody else had babies. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
If you slept with them as much as you slept with me, it might have happened.
Which you believe caused you to be sterile.
I hadn't made anything. Nobody else came back with nothing. And her own cousin told me that I couldn't be the dad.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats now.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Milford, you are not his father.
That's wow.